Morning. You know what, Riley Rooster? I hope that's what this, the point of this is for some people. A little recap on what happened last week. Unless it's not. Falco, the problem with your Splatoon friends thing is that I don't recognize half these people put in their actual names instead of like who they are in the Splatoon community. So it's like I don't. Oh, I know. Oh, okay. I know who's tied for first there, but I don't know who this person who picked Houston that's number one. I have no idea who that is. No, Roundy, obviously. I mean, it doesn't matter. Am I the only person that picked Arizona to win? I am. Are you kidding me? I was the only person in this. There's 25 people here. I'm the only one who thought Arizona had the best chance of winning. Who had NC State winning? Figured Duke would do a little bit better than what they ended up at. Didn't think Tennessee would beat them. I knew Purdue wasn't going to do that well. I didn't think they were going to go out round one, but at least I at least didn't have them going crazy far. They've been kind of shaky lately. Sofa King, thanks for the follow. I'm a nerd? Bruh. I'm a jock. What do you mean? I should be doing the Popcast with these blue light glasses, but they reflect so much of the screen that it's distracting for me. Gamer glasses. Why do so many of you have Houston winning? They're number 1 seed, right? That seems to be the consensus pick of everyone, though. You guys were sleeping on Arizona. They were supposed to win this tournament, alright? The TOs don't know what they're doing. The NCAA TOs. They should have banned certain things. That's why Arizona lost. It's not my fault. I guarantee you, anytime I lose, it's never my fault. It's somebody else's fault. Format or something's wrong. It needs to be fixed. Where's the feedback channel? It's Twitter, isn't it? Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify. While you're telling your friends 2 truths and 1 lie about your Splatoon career, skipping school right now to watch this live on Twitch, pinging me just a few minutes after you've won low ink, demanding an apology. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. I want to start this off by saying this was the biggest low ink ever. And I can't believe we keep saying those things. But here we are. This is yet again the biggest low ink ever. And it wasn't really that bad to go through. JPEG missed basically all of last week except for Sunday, taking some much needed R&R. And on Saturday, I was extremely limited because our internet was down all day Saturday. So the only thing I did was run help desk. So we had a bunch of new staff that stepped up and basically did all the things me and JPEG do during the actual tournament on Saturday, and they kicked a lot of ass. So shout out to our new guys. We got a bright future as far as TOing this tournament is concerned going forward. I mean, I know I'm going to be doing less and less stuff as the year goes along. And, after we have the kid, who knows? After we have the kid, I might just be a completely different person and say, to hell with all this. I'm just going to leave the scene altogether and just watch Low Ink from a distance. I don't really know, but it's good to know that with me and JPEG not being involved, that things can still be done in a up to the standard for what you guys should expect Low Ink to be. I did see the conversation on Twitter about the Low Ink skill cap being too high. It's not. The Low Ink skill cap is perfect. It is, without a doubt, perfect. But as I was seeing those tweets, I was thinking, hey, that is a good Popcast segment to do. I don't have time to do it today. I got too much to talk about today. But I will cover that on the Popcast for next month's preview episode of the Popcast. It feels like a free segment. But if anybody wants to argue and complain that the Low Ink skill cap is too high, okay. Those of us who do verification for this tournament almost every single day out of the month would say, no, it's not. So it's not going to change. That I can promise you, but I'll do a deeper dive into explaining why the skill cap is perfect on the preview episode of next month's Low Ink Popcast. So there you go. There's the little bit of tidbit I'll give on that. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener to the Popcast. There's not really a whole lot going on this week. It is a Proving Grounds week, so if you want to get eliminated in round one of our single elimination tournament, which a lot of Low Ink teams like to do for some reason, you're more than welcome to sign up. That's going to be Friday. More importantly, the Nintendo PAX tournament grand finals of those 4 teams is finally going to be taking place. That's on this Saturday. I saw Mel tweeted out that they are going to be one of the commentators for that, or one of the analysts there. I don't know who else all is going to be there from the grassroots community side of things, but it's good to see these Nintendo tournaments have representation from the people instead of just the generic Nintendo folks that do those kinds of things. The people who actually grew up in this scene, it's good that they have representation up there. Today, we are going to be recapping Low Ink. All the stuff that happened this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday combined. All of the brackets, Epsilon, all up to Alpha, including Swiss Stage. We're going to be talking about all that stuff, not just what has happened in Grand Finals. Now, there are 177 teams officially played in this tournament. Am I going to talk about all 177 teams? No. And it seems like if you're not a team I mention, I usually see something on Twitter or in a Discord channel. What do I got to do to get mentioned by Popcast? I don't know. Ping me and tell me that I demand you an apology, I guess. I don't know. That's a good way to get my attention. Sorry. All that and more. But first. I'll definitively say a bigger tournament that took place this past weekend outside of Low Ink, which is something we've very rarely, if have never said before here on the Popcast. Squid Junction number 40, the Golden Squid Junction. What's significant about the number 40, I don't know, but it took place on Saturday. Do you guys know what a pay-per-view event is? Pretty self-explanatory. It's an event that you have to pay to view on your television. Usually kind of reserved for boxing, I guess, would be the biggest example of a pay-per-view event. I think some of the WWE stuff is all pay-per-view. Boxing being... We always use esports and ball sports as an example. Can you consider boxing to be a ball sport if there's no ball involved? We'll just call it live sports. How about that? So boxing is kind of pay-per-view, and so you can't really see the best boxing matches without going through the pay-per-view route, right? Like you can probably see some Joe Schmoes. ESPN2 used to have like a Friday night fights where they would always show boxing matches on that, but it wasn't always like the big name boxers that you actually knew. If you wanted to see Floyd Mayweather, who's a total a-hole, fight whoever, Manny Pacquiao or Conor McGregor, who's another a-hole. Just boxers just suck. You had to go through the pay-per-view route. So you would buy the match and you invite over all your friends and you would just sit around in your living room and basically have like a Super Bowl party where you watch two guys not really fight each other for 12 rounds. And then they decide, that guy didn't fight the other guy better. He wins. And he gets $30 million or something like that. The Splatoon equivalent of a pay-per-view match are these weeklies that you see every now and then that never have any kind of prize whatsoever, or maybe have like an art prize but here and then, but suddenly have a prize pool for the special edition of the tournament. For Squid Junction 40, which doesn't really have a prize outside of a Sindao badge, and this one that had a starting prize pool of $200, which could go up due to donations. So, essentially, somebody, and I'm not going to speculate where that initial $200 came from because I don't like talking about other people's money, but someone, either a TO or a donor or whoever, paid $200 so that everyone in the Splatoon community could watch high-level competitive Splatoon being paid, or being played, with a prize pool being paid out at the end. So what was the return of investment? What did that $200 buy everybody in the community for a weekly or a bi-weekly tournament? Well, here's what it buys you. It buys you a Japan pickup, a boatload of +1 pickups, 64 plus teams, which is a record for Squid Junction. In fact, the registration went up into the 70s. A ton of EU players that were essentially playing at 3, 5 in the morning for them, top-level EU players, and Crush Soda. And on top of that, a Twitch viewership stream that beat both low ink days, both low inks, not combined, but had a higher viewership than Saturday and Sunday's low ink, which is something we never really see during a low ink weekend. The return of investment for that's pretty strong. Pretty strong, I say. Now, is there any financial compensation that goes back off of that return of investment? Little, if none, off of the Twitch revenue stream that you would get right there. It even stole some low ink teams. Some low ink teams tweeted out that they skipped low ink altogether to play in Squid Junction, which is hilarious because you saw some feedback of some low-level players that were complaining that the seeding in Squid Junction wasn't fair because they got matched up against the DivX team in round 1. I don't know how to break the news to you guys, but if you are a low-level player, if you are eligible for low ink and you sign up for a double limb tournament, you're going to be seeded in the worst possible situation ever. Congratulations. That's how double limbs work. I don't know how to explain it to you guys. It's a cringe thing to leave in the feedback channel, but it's a learning moment for whoever that was. But I did see somebody tweet out, like, I don't know why I skipped low ink to play in this when I just got 0-2'd. I guess essentially 0-4 per games. But that's what an open level double limb tournament is. That I can't. It boggles my mind that people wouldn't understand that's how tournaments work. But there you go. About 2 teams skipped out on low ink. You took our team, Squid Junction. Damn you. Now, as far as finances are concerned, those $200, you're still operating at a net loss. However, unlike 20XX, this was a point that I brought up when 20XX 4 was that came out last month. This is not a diminishing return situation. I pointed out how the increased prize pool from 20XX3 to 20XX4 improved nothing. No more teams, no more higher level teams, no more additional viewership on the main channel. Nothing was improved because of the higher prize pool in 20XX4 over 20XX3. However, the return on investment much higher here in a tournament that didn't have a prize pool to begin with. Now, finances don't always work out that way, and I'm not trying to make a point of playing budget analyst for another organization or anything like that. If it's not my money, I really don't need to be talking about it. Same goes whenever somebody's like, why is IPL Super Jump giving out prizes for this and that? How much of that did you donate, sweetheart? I'm pretty sure it was $0, so I don't know why you're tweeting out anything about it, but go off. My point here is this. The goal for this community is to eventually get these, as I call it, a pay-per-view tournament, to be more commercialized. You know what's cool about the NFL? A lot of things, and a lot of things aren't cool about it. But even if you don't have cable, if you don't have cable at all, you can still watch your local, or whatever the NFL deems is your local NFL team, every single week for free. If you just plug your TV in and you're smart enough, you can legally watch a free NFL game. Who's paying the bill for that? All the people that are paying for the commercials, that are the sponsors, if you will, of all of those NFL events. Those are the ones that are paying it so that you can watch it essentially for free. Wouldn't it be cool that if at some point we could have tournaments like Squid Junction 40, not just in Squid Junction, but all the other weeklies that we have that do have prize pools of around $200 or so, and that every tournament that is just like that gets the same kind of hype and buzz and generates as much conversation on Twitter as Squid Junction 40 was doing. It's a long way, though, before we can get to that point. It's where prize pools are not just coming out of a TO's wallet. To get to where we are getting sponsors, though, it's going to take a long time. But if this could eventually become the norm, what you saw last Saturday is a glimpse into the future. And that is something excited to see going forward. Shout outs to the Squid Junction 40 staff who clearly worked their asses off to promote the event and to hype it up and to drum up interest and to talk about it during the actual event to let you know what's going on, what major upsets are happening. It's a fantastic thing that took place this last weekend. Nicely done, Squid Junction. Before we get into the long week stuff, there was some things we do need to talk about. So it is time now to slip in rather quickly because I want to get this episode done in an hour. It's time for the weekly recap. As I mentioned, Squid Junction 40 happened this past weekend. It was won by Fiesta, which was a pickup of players from Japan. They beat Crush Soda, who took second place, and third went to a team called New Meta. I'm assuming a pickup made up of Lulu, Isabel, Sista Homa, and Storm. Which Storm that was, your guess is as good as mine. 64 teams, ton of them considered top, high level, whatever, plus one players. That's a fair way to describe them all. How much stock are we putting in the EU teams getting upset in this tournament? Look, a result is a result. There's no such thing as asterisks. It is worth noting that it probably was like 4 or 5 a.m. for them at that point, but it's also in the awkward time for Japan. Actually, no, it's probably just like in the middle of the day, morning time for Japan as well, who won the whole tournament. Regardless, Seafoam finished in 4th place over Graveyard Shift and the Robbie pickup, who both finished in 5th, the best those two EU teams did. Nicely done, the Seafoam. Bunch of other exciting things happened there. Seafoam beat some teams that I didn't really recognize, but they were doing better than what their seed was again. So the Silly Kitties, they keep their silliness rolling along. Now it is time for the recap of the SAC season. SAC season, that's already done. We're talking about the Collegiate Cephalopod Association, the CCA. Season 3, Week 3 in Division 1, University of California, Davis, the Banana Split team. They beat the UC San Diego esports team 4-1. Both teams were undefeated going into this set. Numerous very close sets with Game 5. Rainmaker Scorch seeing a Neo Sploosh on the side of UC Davis, and no push beyond 90 points until the very last minute of the match. In Div 2, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, the Grisco Workers Union, they lost to Cal Poly Pomana, the Reef Runners, 3-4. Cal Poly was able to reverse sweep WPI, an amazing comeback to end Sunday's stream. Oh, so they're up 3-0 and then came back. All right. Div 3, UMass of Dartmouth, the Kraken Cove. They beat the University of Texas at Austin Daybreak 4-3. In Div 4, Oklahoma beat Purdue 4-0 in a sweep of that. You can continue watching stream matches of the official CCA tournament Twitch channel. And I believe also Splatoon Tourney was broadcasting some of those matches last night as well. So a rather brief weekly recap. Sponsored by the Falco Flyer Tournament of Champions as far as the NCAA tournament is concerned, where out of 25 teams, I am currently tied for 16th place, and the maximum amount of points I can get is 83, where the person who's in first place already has 43 points and can get a maximum of 139. So things are not looking good for the old Fighting Pop Guns here on the NCAA tournament bracket thing. I cannot believe I was the only one who picked Arizona to win the entire thing. I'm right. You guys are wrong. They should have won. We all know that. Falco Splatoon Friend Pool, the official sponsor of today's episode of the weekly recap. All right. Let's get this out of the way. Get your clips ready. Yes. Splat-a-lot imbeciles. I'm sorry for putting you in the honorable mention section of my Low-Ink preview, thus doubting you guys. I'm sorry. You won the tournament. And that does it for today's episode of the Popcast. We got that done with. No, look. The reason that I put them in the honorable mention section and not in the top 10, I feel like was slightly justifiable. They have not done well in low inks. This is a preview for the low ink tournament. And outside of that one time where they made top 32 and Matt and Dura were commentating them and Matt kept calling them the idiots, they hadn't really done anything. There are several times where they just made Delta bracket or failed to make top cut or did a pickup with another team and did horrible there as well. So there's been a long line of times where the imbeciles have just had not good results. And I feel like every time I did put them in the top 10 was those times they did horribly bad. Now, there's always been excuses that have been made. And if you've been paying attention to the sub-channel, the Splat-a-Lot imbeciles have pretty much set up shop in the Find a Sub-channel for the past half year or so. They have been the team that has always found a way to need 2 subs and maybe find a way to illegally get 3 subs onto their roster every single month. It was crazy. It was ridiculous. And it's always been the excuse that they used. Or I think there's been some times where they complained about the format or whatever, pointing the finger everywhere they can. But this time around, there was nowhere that they could point the finger. They didn't use a sub the entire time. The format is something they've been used to for about 5 or 6 months now. They knew what they were getting into. So there was no excuses to be made this time. So if they absolutely crapped the bed, they couldn't point the finger anywhere but themselves. Well, guess what? They didn't crap the bed. Instead, what they ended up doing was just absolutely ripping everybody apart that they faced. Except for Combo. And I said this on the preview, that we don't have any hunters in low ink anymore. We don't have any teams that are in that range of it's either win or bust for them, and they actually go out and try to win the tournament. Because it's been nobodies. It's been no names that are just playing for fun, that have snuck past all these teams that are feeling the pressure of winning low ink. And the Imbeciles were the one exception that we've had probably since Sia won it back in November. So about 5 months now. We finally have a Hunter team that was determined to win it, that probably should have won it, and actually did win it. It was really weird. It caught me off guard, but it happened. But my goodness, the Imbeciles absolutely destroyed teams that they were playing there. When they got on stream, and it was the first time we saw them in the tournament, and they were playing Photic Zone, and they took it to Photic Zone those first 2 games, I was like, whoa, okay, this is not the same Imbecile team that we've all known and loved up to this point. And then when they were losing game 3, only to come back at the end, it was like, all right, there's something going on here. No real mistakes that they had the entire weekend. They made a few blunders on stream, but it didn't really derail them. They completely gave away that game 2 in grand finals, but where other teams, that would be the beginning of the end for them, they bounced back and won game 3 and didn't lose any other time at that point. So even when they faced adversity, they were still able to bounce back and take care of business without it letting them affect them mentally, I guess you could say. They were a hunting team, and they actually played like it. Who's Sylphie, the anchor player, the Charger player? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sylphie was one of the best Charger players we have seen in recent low ink history. They were incredible with what they were doing. You don't want to single out one player over all 4, but every time we go to Sylphie, teams were constantly trying to kill them, constantly harassing them. You saw Secret Elixir just dedicate one person to slip past everybody and target Sylphie specifically, and you never really saw that player die or succumb to the pressure of splat bombs or ink strikes being thrown at them, and finding a way to get the one splat necessary through all of the nonsense that was in their way. That player, under that kind of pressure in that kind of situation, looked as cool as a cucumber, and it was really impressive to see. The backbone, clearly, of that Idiots team. Now, I've said that the Imbeciles have not accomplished anything in low ink, which is true, but it's not really fair to say that they haven't accomplished anything, period, as a team. The problem that I have, or that I had with my low ink preview, is that I didn't really give enough credit to Minnow Cup that happened just 8 days before Sunday. Because you can't really say that I doubted Splat-A-Lot Imbeciles without at the same time saying that I doubted Secret Elixir, because I very clearly doubted Secret Elixir as well. I think I put them at number 10 in my top 10, and I did that just out of respect for the fact that they won Minnow Cup. I didn't really think they did as good as they were actually going to do. But they ended up doing just that. And I still don't think it's fair to compare Minnow Cup results to low ink results. It's the only similarity those two tournaments have with each other is the skill cap, which apparently some people think is too high all of a sudden. Can you really compare a 35-team, one-day, one-mode tournament to a 177-team, two-day, all-mode tournament? I, in the past, would say that you can't. I don't think that's really fair. If you look past at the most recent champions, and this is as far back as you go since Minnow Cup has been a part of MIT, the team that won the February Minnow Cup, which was Tower Control, was Miro, which I believe has made a pickup in the past couple of Loinks, and they might have made top 32 this past one. The November champ for Rainmaker was Myopsidus. I believe that was the month that they went on to... No, that was December where they went on to finish in second place. And then the most recent Minnow Cup champions after that was all that Funky Kong fan club pickup or whatever. I think that pickup won like 2 or 3 of those tournaments in a row. But you never really saw direct success from winning a Minnow Cup into Loing the month afterwards, which makes sense. It's a much smaller tournament. It's a much different tournament. It shouldn't be direct 1-to-1. And I'm sure that I'm pretty sure, because that's just there's like 11 Minnow Cups that I wasn't able to look at. I'm pretty sure there has been a time in the past where somebody won a Minnow Cup and then won a low ink in the same exact month. I didn't care to do that deep of a dive into research, because you're going deep into Splatoon 2 and you got different metas and stuff going on there. So more importantly, this was a good weekend for Minnow Cup in general, and it forces at least my perspective of what that tournament means in the grand scheme of things to change. You can't deny the fact that when your Minnow Cup Grand Finals is the same exact 2 teams that are playing the Low Ink Grand Finals, that there's some sort of connection there. You can't deny that. As much as I probably was doing that before, it's now impossible to do going forward. Does that mean whoever wins the next Minnow Cup is going to be the number 1 team? I don't know. We'll see. Regardless, if anybody owes an apology here, it is me to Minnow Cup, not the staff, but the tournament, the essence of the tournament as a whole, because they had a strong showing here. By the way, the teams that finished in 3rd and 4th place of that Minnow Cup, the 3rd place team was Biscuits, who won beta brackets yesterday. And the 4th place team was Combo, who might be the best team of everybody all of a sudden. And we'll talk more about Combo going forward. So, yeah, that Minnow Cup, everybody almost that made that top cut had a direct impact in the final standings of this low ink just 8 days later. Regardless, the grand finals of this low ink, this is a dream scenario. If you're a commentator or you're somebody like me who spends too much time talking about this video game, this is the dream matchup you want to see. Something that has storylines that once you explain, you immediately understand. I don't have to sit here and be like, what's grand finals versus to be determined? This person plays roller, I guess, and then there's this other person. We're going to figure out who they are. Really excited to meet them as we go along. No, you already know what the storyline between the Imbeciles and Secret Elixir is because you saw it 8 days ago. You already know that there's a little bit of tension. There's a little bit of revenge factor going on here. There's a little bit of a growing rivalry going on. There's a little bit of, man, you only beat us because of Kraken, which, by the way, if there was any narrative that Kraken and Clamblitz are broken, the same team that's been complaining about it, the Splat-A-Lot Imbeciles, just showed you guys that it is not unbeatable. They just proved it. So from now on, whenever somebody says, especially after a special has been out for about 2 weeks, that we need to ban it from low-level events only, I'm going to reference this every single time. The Imbeciles played Secret Elixir, who is using Kraken in back-to-back Clamblitz games, and the Imbeciles beat them twice. So what's your excuse? Honestly, for you guys to sit here and say that Kraken and Clamblitz, one of the two, need to be banned from low-level tournaments only going forward, It's just now silly. It's just silly at this point. The imbeciles proved it right in front of your faces. We'll talk more about both of those teams when we get to the alpha bracket, but we have a bunch of other stuff to talk about. So let's move on down to switch stage and work our way back up. Well, what annoyed me the most was, well, all you do is just make 3 power clams and then Kraken and super jump to that and then they just auto win. How often do you have 3 power clams? And if you let the other team build up 3 power clams, that's not something to just automatically do. That means you're really bad at map control and really, you're just getting outplayed in general. If the other team builds 3 power clams, you are getting outplayed. It has nothing to do with Kraken, I promise you. They just super jump with 3 power clams. Why are you letting them get 3 power clams all that time? What are you talking about? There's been like one time. What is the most iconic play in Low Ink history? Myopsidus super jumping and throwing in 3 power clams against ITAP like 2 years ago in that November 2021. That was the only time it's happened, and you guys are acting like it happens every single day or something like that. All right. Saturday. We got a lot of teams that we need to talk about right here. First off, the team with the highest opponent win percentage. To be fair, the Imbeciles had like a 72.2% opponent win percentage. The Imbeciles played a lot of really strong teams. They didn't dodge anybody in their tournament win. But the team that had technically the highest one is Something. The name of the team is Something. Their opponent win percentage was 75%, and they went 5-1 with that one. They got some key wins against Last Wish, Eminence Phantom, 8-Bit, Jelly Squids, and this comes from Group C, so nicely done to Something, or Someone, I guess you should say. The teams that went 6-0 in this one, other than Secret Elixir, we're going to talk about them enough. Don't need to talk about them again here. But how about Surf and Turf going 6-0? That was a surprise. Key wins against Audentes, Something, the team that had the highest opponent win percentage, Deliverance, and KO Calamari. Is this the first time Surf and Turf has gone 6-0? I'm pretty sure it is. That's impressive. They've had good Saturdays. They've had good Sundays. Now they just got to figure out a way to put it all together at the same time. Nicely done there, Surf and Turf. The other team worth noting that went 6-0 is Ol' Sunrise. Not to be confused with Sunset. This is the exact opposite of that. Sunrise went 6-0, getting key wins over the Sans Fanboys, Outcast Ninjas, Heaven's Reflection, and Not Okay. Sunrise is a team I probably haven't really mentioned at all yet. I know they went 5-1 the last time they played in Low Ink, and I believe they made Alpha Bracket a couple times in a row. Actually, no, they made Beta Bracket back in January. But Sunrise is one of those teams that's on the rise, so you got to pay attention to them. I'm giving them a shout out now. The Pond Duck Crew went 5-1 in this Low Ink, getting key wins against the Octo Inkers, Sommerzite, the best team name in the tournament, which is Splabooey, and the Lost Inklings. The Pond Duck Crew much better in Little Squid League, much better in this Low Ink than they play in Little Squid League. It's the same kind of concept. When you're supposed to win a tournament, because apparently I'm the person who determines who is and isn't supposed to win the tournaments, if you paid attention to any of my top 10s. When there's not that much pressure on you, sometimes you play better. Pond Duck Crew just plays better in Low Ink. The Glitter Gel Pins went 4-2, getting key wins over Seasick, Infinity, and Dive. The last time the Gel Pins played in Low Ink, they were in January, where they went 3-3. Not too shabby of a result for this Little Squid League team. The Boston Scuffed Party went 4-2, getting key wins over NSIP, Glowfish, the Clam Blitz Queens, and Coco Woomy. Hey, the Boston Scuffed Party. You guys didn't look that scuffed at all. Actually, we're going to be talking about them a little bit later. The Sans fanboys, not the Sans femboys, as somebody called them in Twitch chat. They're fanboys. With 5-1, getting key wins over Arcadia, Pearlescence, Zero Luck Found, Monolith, and the Tactifuelers. Who plays for Sans fanboys? That would be Galaxy, Weem, Brinville, and Junkie. Sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. It happens. Brinvilles, there was a Z at the end of that one, I remember. Nicely done, Sans fanboys. Wipeout. Not punks. They're just Wipeout. These guys are not punk at all. They went 4-2, getting key wins over Arrowhead, Splatsville Idol Group, the Inkling Daycare as well. They went 3-3 last month. Wipeout bumping up to 4-2 this time around. We'd like to see improvement like that. Refresh. You got to really slow down to say that one. They went 4-2, getting key wins over Mop, LT3, and Neon Palm Tree. That's a heck of a win for them right there. Delta Bracket 2 months in a row for Refresh. Octopi, who it's hard to search their name because they got the actual pi symbol in their name instead of just PI, which is what I write down. They went 4-2, getting key wins over Sonata, Spirit Inc., and Vermilion Tides, as well as Monsters Inc., Monster Possessive S Inc. The LSL runner-up found themselves in that awkward position of being tied in the 8th and 9th spot. I believe they were technically the number 9 team. So we told them they had to do the underground play-in best of one match. Their opponent dropped the next day, so they didn't have to play it at all. They just earned it outright. So there you go. Nicely done, Octopi. Welcome to Top 32. TR Esports went 4-2 with key wins over Bean Esports. The battle of the esports there. TR is better than Beans, apparently. Inception, the Whip Rays, and Lullaby. In November, they went 3-3, so they took about 5 months off. They came back and improved their record by 1 win. We see you, TR Esports. The Lost Inklings, I mentioned they played in their low ink for the first time in a long time. They went 4-2. Got key wins over Team Orca, TR Esports, Masquerade, and the Octo Inkers. All of those coming in the first 4 rounds. Going 4-0 to finish up 4-2 on Saturday. Man, you guys like it when I just mention a team even though when they lost. Yeah, I did say the Whip Rays. I think I'll mention them here again because the Joke Raiders went 5-1. And 5 of their wins came against the Scallop Splash, the Whip Rays, Masquerade, TR Esports, and Team Biscuits. They went Gamma last month, or when they played in November, they got Gamma bracket. This time around, they made top 32. Might have even made Alpha bracket. I don't know. We'll look at that later. Seasick went 3-3, getting key wins over Blue, Alterna Titans, Lego Maego, and Krill Streak. Last time we saw Seasick play in Loic, they went 2-4. Now they're bumping up to 3-3. We like to catch these teams as they're slowly grinding and improving, even if they're not qualifying for a very competitive Epsilon bracket. Now, the biggest winner from Saturday, by far. And this team, even though they didn't play on Sunday, their result on Saturday looked even better at the end of Sunday. Give me Combo, who went 5-1 with their wins coming against Alliance Moon, Inkception, and Intimidation Factor. Oh, by the way, they also beat the team that finished in 3rd place, Swedish BTS, and the team that won the whole tournament, the only team to beat the team that won the whole tournament, the Splat-A-Lot Imbeciles. In fact, Combo's one lone loss was a 2-1 loss to Photic Zone. How good is Combo? I mentioned they finished 4th place in the Minnow Cup last weekend, which apparently is the most competitive Minnow Cup of all time. My goodness, how good is Combo? Is that the team that's going to win next month? I don't know why they dropped, or I don't even know or saw when they dropped. I paid zero attention to Help Desk. I spent like 12 hours paying attention to Help Desk on Saturday alone, and on Sunday, JPEG was back. I was like, "You got it. I'm done." So I didn't even know Combo dropped until I saw, as I was doing research on the teams who were going to commentate, I was like, wait, Combo beat all these guys. well, where's Combo? Are they like in Delta bracket or something? So, yeah, they just dropped and they could have won the whole thing. So they're the biggest winners of Saturday. They just beat up on all the teams that did really well in this tournament and then just escaped into the night, never to be seen again. Breaking hearts and then vanishing. Combo. Let's look at some brackets from Sunday. Screen. Now, what you are looking at is the second ever Epsilon bracket. And I believe I said something like, this is probably the only time you're going to see an Epsilon bracket. Well, here it is again, 2 months later. Epsilon bracket number 2. I guess this is just the standard now. Technically, we should not have done an Epsilon bracket. Our logic is you need to have half your teams. You want half your teams to move on from Saturday to Sunday, half the teams that finish out the tournament. So that means you need 160 teams to finish out the tournament. And I didn't realize till this morning we only had 155 at the end of Saturday. So technically speaking, we shouldn't have done an Epsilon bracket, but I guess we're just like, what the heck, let's do it. Just because I wasn't really paying attention to it. It was fine. The problem is when you have 80 teams playing on Sunday, the odds of them dropping before the Sunday actually starts are higher, which means this was mostly scuffed. I believe we had to get 6 teams to fill in the spots from like when teams drop. Because think, if a team, when Combo drops out of top 32, that means everybody gets bumped up one bracket. And it's a lot. And it opens up the door here to make Epsilon more scuffed. But we still like the fact that there is an Epsilon bracket. Teams I want to talk about here. First off, Spirit Inc., who got a couple of wins here on the winner's side and then found their way into 4th place after beating Scarlet Inc., Blur, Platinum, and Sunfish as well. All by sweeps, and the only team that really beat them outside of the team that won or took 2nd place was Not Okay, who took them to a Game 5. So Spirit Inc., they made top 8 in Little Squidly 27. Arguably a better result here in this Epsilon bracket. Nicely done. Not Okay. They're the team that finished in 3rd place here, and they tacked the Fuelers all the way to a Game 5 in the winner's side. You see, they had a rough run through things. They beat the team that... Yeah, they beat the team that finished in 2nd, who got revenge on them here in the 3rd place match, so they ended up taking 3rd. Overall, I think this is the first time Not Okay has actually finished all the way through the tournament. I think they dropped a couple times ago, and then the last time they signed up with like 0 splash tags and got eliminated. So they got all of this stuff cleaned up, and now they could actually play 3rd place in Epsilon bracket. Last team I want to mention here before the top 2, we got to give a shout out to old Sunfish. And if you're wondering why they're called the Chess Training Arc team, because this is the team that I played chess against, where I told them, well, I didn't tell them, they asked if they could sign up for Low Ink Late, and I said, do you play chess? And absolutely destroyed them, like just ended their chess career in a 5-minute no increment match. So that's why they signed up actually ahead of time this time around, and as a result, they lose in round 1 of Epsilon bracket, but made a nice little losers run here, winning 3 straight before Spirit Inc. knocked them out. Nicely done, Sunfish. This is what happens when you sign up on time. And no, there's not a chess rematch. I don't want to take another 100 points from you. Grand finals of this one. Please tell me this is pronounced Wormwin. Can I zoom in on this? I guess I can. Please tell me this is pronounced Wormwin. Wormwin. That's got to be correct. Regardless, Wormwin here finished in 2nd place after forcing a bracket reset. This is Grace's team, and they played back in January where they did not qualify for Sunday, and instead they played this time around, made Epsilon bracket, and went all the way to 2nd place. So a nice little glow up for them. Obviously, there's more players than Grace on here, but Grace is one of the head TOs for SOS. So we like to give shout-outs to TOs when we can. Tactifuelers, however, is the team that went on to win this whole thing. Tactifuelers made Gamma Bracket last time they played in Low Inc., and they lost in round 1 of winners and round 1 of losers. Now they fall down the Epsilon bracket, and they win the whole thing. Nicely done to Tactifuelers. We talked always about how confusing it is, how there's so many Tacta teams, Fuelers, Rulers, Ferris Buellers. So to have one team start to separate themselves from the pack is good. Tactifuelers. I believe I talk about them more than anybody else in that Tacta category. Delta Bracket. Now, Delta Bracket is 100% here to stay. We're getting enough teams to where it's always justifiable to have a Delta Bracket. First off, we want to give a shout out here to Pearl Essence. Pearl Essence. Where are they? Oh, they lost in round. So in round 1, they lost to the Misfits, and then just made the losers bracket run, going all the way through Infinity Dive. This is a really quality win against Dive. Refresh, the team I mentioned in the Saturday section, and beat the Misfits, the team that put them down in the losers bracket anyways, for taking Boston Scuff Party the distance in the best of 3 match. So nicely done for them. Pearl Essence, the last time they played in Low Inc., they made top 32, but got shown the door pretty quickly in top 32. I don't think they were ready for that stage just yet, but they proved here in Delta Bracket that they're ready for this and possibly more things next month. Sonata made their second straight Delta Bracket appearance, and this time around did a little bit better. They beat Infinity in round 1. Misfits knocked them out before they went on a little losers run themselves, before Boston Scuff Party ended all the losers runs, as this looks like they've been doing in this tournament. But they beat the Moonstars and Rolling Squids along the way. Last time Sonata was in this same bracket was last month, and they went 0-2 in this bracket this time around, racking up 3 wins along the way. So a nice local up for them. Now, the team that finished in 3rd place, I hate them because their F is a different kind of F, and they got a different kind of X here, so this is a hard team to search. You just got to search for Allen if you want to find the Fallen Squids. But there you go. I got to give them a little bit of credit because they finished in 3rd place in this one. Kiwi Ice Cream, Lunch Rush, Misfits. They swept all of them before they ran into the monster that was the Splat-A-Lot conglomeration here. They finished in 3rd place, getting swept out. Looks like they burned all their wins early and just couldn't find one against the teams that finished in the 1st and 2nd place. Fallen Squids, they made top 8 in the most recent Little Squid League. Would you rather make top 8 there or 3rd place in Delta Bracket? I think you would rather take 3rd place. Still, it's a nice step in the right direction for them as well. For the Boston Scuffed Party, I honestly was not expecting this. We haven't seen Boston Squid Party play in a while, and usually when you're a little bit rusty like that, you don't just pick up where you left off. This is a pick up where they left off kind of thing, going all the way into 2nd place of Delta Bracket here against a very strong Splat-A-Lot Cosmic Cherry team. A same Splat-A-Lot Cosmic Cherry team, mind you, that won Beta Bracket last month. So they just had a rough Saturday, but made up for it by dominating a bracket, proving that they belong here. They only dropped 2 games along the way. Only 2 games dropped was the Boston Scuff Party, but they weren't really contested the rest of the way through. Cosmic Cherries, I really wish they had a better Saturday. I think they just played some tougher teams, but they're at least consistent on Sunday. And they might be it might not be too long before we see another Splat-A-Lot team take home the trophy, because the Cherries seem to be right up with them as well. Yeesh. Gamma Bracket. We're making our way through here. There's too many teams that play in this tournament. Gamma Bracket. Let's give a shout out to Tea Time. How about Tea Time, who I said had to be friends with Team Biscuits, just based off of their name alone. They made a little bit of a loser's run here. They beat Hold Up, lost to a Karyoku, Wipeouts, 8-Bit, and then Paul Blart knocked them out of this tournament. So nicely done, Tea Time. Who is Tea Time? They're a team with a fantastic logo, but they got eliminated losers round 2 of Gamma Bracket last month this time, making it all the way to losers round 4, so a bit of a glow up. But check out this logo. Look at this. Can I make it bigger? I don't think I can make it bigger. Look at that thing. Just no F's given. Just sipping on some tea. And, well, I mean, it's hard to beat Paul Blart, obviously, the Paul Blart and Pikmin Warriors, but that's an S-tier logo like there. You love to see that. Speaking of Paul Blart, let's give them a little bit of a shout out here. I mentioned that they beat Tea Time. They also beat Intimidation Factor and White Siege, taking them the distance there. So they did not sweep anybody, and all of their wins went the distance. So this was a very stressful 4th place finish here for Paul Blarts. But the Aquatic Vanguard pickup, I see you nonetheless. Banana Basics, give them credit for playing. This is obviously not the bracket that they wanted, but as you always say, when you get the bracket you don't want, play in it and prove that you don't belong there. They finished 3rd place. This isn't the best. They finished 2nd place in a beta bracket in December. 3rd place in Gamma bracket, though. This is still more experience that they can use going forward. And yes, since everyone pointed it out, yes, their logo is an actual Banana Basics shoe. It should have been more obvious to me way sooner that their point of this team is about shoes. But we're all know now. We're all on the same page. It's good. Get over it. The teams that finished in the top 2 here. Now, here's some trivia for you, and I'll give you the answer immediately because we're running out of time. But who is the team that won Gamma Bracket last month? It was C-Drive. To my knowledge, and this would be an easy thing for anyone to look up, no team has won the same bracket 2 months in a row. Actually, no, I feel like somebody did win a beta bracket 2 months in a row, like back in the late 2020 tournaments. I might look that up later out of curiosity. Actually, no, I don't really care. But C-Drive almost did it because they won Gamma last month. They almost won Gamma again this time around. The problem is Ikarioku, who played them in 3 straight sets, was able to force a decisive game 5 here and was able to get the win. In Ikarioku, this has to feel really good for these guys because they are grinding a ton of tournaments. Apparently, they're all from Texas as well because they played in the Region Rumble representing the state of Texas with their actual full roster. So they're getting a lot better. They're racking up results, and it's because they're grinding tournaments. And this is beating the team that won Gamma last time. Nicely done for them. Top 32 team going forward? Possibly. Potentially. Beta bracket. The one team I want to make sure that I highlight right here because I didn't really understand who they were. I mean, during verification, obviously we do it, but I don't like memorize verification information going forward after we actually look at them. Of all 100, actually no, of all 203 teams we had to verify. But Pentamento, I don't know what that word's supposed to mean. I could Google it later, I guess. But as you look at the roster, some names immediately jump out. It's like, oh, a couple of these guys used to be on Up the Ante. Obviously mixed in with some new players as well. So I'm assuming this is a new team that spawned from the ashes of that. And in their first tournament, they take 3rd place overall in beta bracket. Nicely done. Oh, Combo actually played? They didn't drop? Am I looking at the same bracket? Is this correct? This is correct. Combo didn't drop? Hold on. What happened in top 32? I've been telling lies this whole time. Did they really go 0-3? Hold on. Why was I under the impression, yeah, Adentes beat him. Final Reckoning beat him. And Arcadia beat him. Straight up. All right, fine. So they didn't drop. I was completely wrong about that. I've been lying this entire time. And you guys just believe me. Regardless, okay, so that's a nice win. Pentamento seemed better now that I look at them even a little bit further now. Okay. I didn't know Combo played. There you go. Surf and Turf. They finished in 4th place in this event. Following up a 6-0 Swiss stage, falling down to beta. But taking care of business here, getting all the way to 4th place in this one. Still a good overall weekend for Surf and Turf. I don't really have much to say about Chav girls. How many players do they got? They got 8. They got a freaking baseball team going in here. They took Team Biscuits to a game 4 now, or a game 6, I guess you should say. The one thing I want to point out with Team Biscuits, in the top 32 stage, we did have one of those tiebreakers that happens in Swiss where 3 teams go 2-1, and Team Biscuits is the odd man out that falls down the beta bracket. This is correct, by the way, because does it say? Yeah, okay, so the tiebreaker's right here. So the first one is total points, which everyone's got 6. Match wins, everyone's got the same. Match wins against tied players is the other, I guess, tiebreaker that they use. But basically, an easier way to look at this is Sunfish or Sunrise. Go away. Stop showing me the tiebreaker thing. Sunrise went 2-0 in the wins that they got, whereas Team Biscuits went 2-1 in one of the wins that they got. So they dropped a game and had to go to a game 3. Same thing with Ben Thick Brigade. So the Team Biscuits and Ben Thick Brigade were essentially the true tied teams with each other, and Ben Thick Brigade won the head-to-head against Team Biscuits. So no matter how you look at it from this perspective, I guess, which the more I look at it might be a little bit confusing, it still works out. Now, could we, with a 3-way tiebreaker, you just got to go with what Battlefy gives you. There are scenarios where Battlefy will say, no, you need to do like a best of 1 set because these 3 teams are tied with each other. That takes a lot of time, and day 2 lasts too long anyways. I think we got the tournament done in 4.5 hours, but that's just because Splat-All-Out Imbeciles beat up everybody too quickly. But this is fair. Team Biscuits falling down the beta bracket, it's fair. Does it suck that you go 2-1, fall down the beta? Yes. But that's life of a group stage tournament. 177 teams. We've got to find some way to get this one moving along quickly. And to their credit, after finishing 3rd place in Minnow Cup last weekend, they dominated the beta bracket. Man, they really dominated this beta bracket and winning the whole thing. They're a top 10 team going forward. They've proved that time and time again at this point. Alpha brackets. The things I want to mention here in alpha brackets. First off, ink in the system. I said that they haven't really had a strong low ink in a long time. This is a strong low ink for them. Making all the way to alpha brackets. I guess 3-0ing their group if they're the number 6 seed here. And then playing Secret Elixir on stream. Secret Elixir was just better. But they're still able to find a way to take a game off of them on one of their own counter picks. Splat Zones at Mako Mart. But Secret Elixir was just good. But this is still a great step in the right direction for ink in the system. And proves that they're a strong team that's a contender to win this one. Even if they get eliminated in tied for 8th place. Or if you want to be fancy about it, you could say you're tied for 5th place. Yeah, technically that's true, but whatever. You tied with 4 other teams. I don't know if that counts as a result. Swedish BTS. This might be the best pickup team we've had in a while. Do you consider To Be Determined in January to be a pickup? Maybe. To Be Determined hints at maybe they're changing their name to an actual thing going forward. But Swedish BTS looked really strong. And I expected them to do pretty strong when I saw their roster. It lived beyond the expectations I think everybody had, finishing 3rd place overall. Again, just running into the Secret Elixir monster right here that was just whooping up on everybody. I don't think Secret Elixir lost all. I think they went 6-0 in their Swiss group, so they were undefeated leading up to this one. By the way, another low ink where nobody went undefeated. Both of these teams taking a loss at some point during the tournament. As far as the Imbeciles and Secret Elixir goes, I mean, what can you really say about this one? The Imbeciles were just better, and that's just how life goes sometimes. Secret Elixir proved that they were the real deal, though. I kind of talked about how them winning Minnow Cup was like, okay, you won Minnow Cup, but you never really played in low ink. And, well, they played in low ink and proved that they're probably not going to be in low level much longer. You already won a low level tournament, and you basically demolished this one all the way up until you ran into the buzzsaw of the Splat-A-Lot Imbeciles. So I don't think we're going to see Secret Elixir much longer. They kind of proved everything that they needed to prove in this tournament. For the Imbeciles, for the first time since like SIA, an actual name brand team has won low ink. The roster, obviously not the same from what the Imbeciles have had in the past. They finally landed on 4 or maybe 5 players who can actually play through the weekend. And look what happened. I don't think anybody really challenged them outside of Combo. I think the Shav girls like maybe took a game off of them in the group stage, but they were still going to qualify for Alpha Bracket at that point anyways. They had 2 wins. They were comfortably going to be moving on. But yeah, they made 2 counter picks and they won on both. Yeah, they won on both of their counter picks. It was the tower control, I believe, is what they picked. They just picked that twice and they won it twice. Never really contested right there. The thing with the Imbeciles though, going forward, is this it for them? Obviously, they're going to still be together and still play in tournaments, but are we going to be talking about them again? We don't really talk about teams that win low ink that much. I think SIA's might be the most notable recent low ink champion, but it's tough. It's tough. SAC is a tough tournament, as it should be for teams that are banned from low ink, and it might be a while before we start talking about any team that wins low ink again, which is why we like to spend an episode giving them pats on the back here when they actually deserve it. But yeah, hopefully this isn't the final time we talk about the Imbeciles, but I feel like it's just going to be a while just because of what lies ahead is difficult. But that doesn't discredit what they did this past weekend. Thank you for the raid, Pro Chara, and you came at a perfect time because I get to send you guys off somewhere else. If this is your first time seeing me, we just did an entire episode recapping Squid Junction, Low Ink, and some other tournaments. We do this every single Monday, usually not at this time. I just have some stuff going on later today, so I can't do it at my normal time. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out to me. My socials below, Twitter, Mr._Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch, Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Hey, some of you probably know me because I had Prochara on a couple of weeks ago. I already know who the person is that I want to try to reach out to be on next Monday's episode of the Popcast. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Who are we going to raid today? We haven't raided Undershirt Man in a while. We'll see you guys next Monday. Get vaccinated. Stay safe. Wear a mask when applicable. Don't do anything dumb between now and next week, because I want you to watch next week as well. I'm sorry, imbeciles. All right? I'm sorry. Get over it.